Hello, this is my unscripted talk about Unsouled by Will Wight. One of the things I find interesting about Lyndon's character is the relationship with his family. Like I said, they love him, but they don't teach him the sacred arts because it's forbidden by their clan. But their clan is a family of tricksters, right? So their clan motto, honor by any means, allows them to break the rules a bit as long as they get the results. And this is proven later in the book when we see a vision of Lyndon's future. And in that future, he does get stronger by cheating. He breaks the rules and learns a path, the magic he chooses. And he raises a family, he has children. He becomes pretty successful. The clan elders congratulate him. And that just shows that as long as he got the results, people would have accepted him, and they wouldn't care about the rules where he's not allowed to do this or that. So if they just treated him like everybody else earlier, he would have had a much happier life. And that's what gives me some conflicting feelings about his family. Like they basically treat him horribly, but they're not horrible. Like, he's not a Harry Potter type character where his family's sneering at him or shutting him in a room or anything. They treat him... They do nice things for him, but they just don't do what's really important, and that is teach him the magic that everybody else is using. So that's what I like about Lyndon. Like, he's not bitter about this. He's not yelling and screaming at him. They're not yelling and screaming at him. It seems normal, but they have this kind of tension hanging over the air about Lyndon's weakness. Like, early in the book, we get an example of him. There's an example of this where he gets some magical fruit that can help him increase his powers. And when he brings it back to his family to discuss how to split this up, he's not even considered as an option to use these resources. So one thing, at one time they're embarrassed about, his weakness, but they don't do much to change it. In the end, his sister, who's super fair in his eyes, cuts the fruit in half and gives him one, and she takes the other. So they're complicated characters. They're not just like some kind of sneering villains, who pick on him. They're not a source of a sob story for Lyndon. And I like that because I'm tired of seeing characters who are just sob stories. Oh, my entire village died, or oh, my parents beat me. No, they don't do any of that. They're just people who could have done more for Lyndon and chose not to. Yirin is another character I didn't talk much about in the first review because she's not fleshed out very much in this book, but she's a more of a character in the other books. So far in just this book, she's only trying to escape. Her master was killed. Now she just wants to get out of this isolated region. And that's how she meets Lyndon. He wants to escape too, so they team up and leave the Sacred Valley. That's basically it for her in this book. But what I liked about her is that when she's introduced, it's made clear from the beginning that she's not some kind of angel beauty, she's not a romantic interest, and she's not some kind of angry warrior woman. She's not a rebellious princess, and she doesn't have a sob story. Sob story is, for me, when a character uses their tragic past in order to justify bad decisions. This is not her. It informs her decisions, but it doesn't rule her choices. So I really liked that. So I want to talk more about the magic system. So in the magic system, they separate it into techniques, at least in the Sacred Valley region. They separate it as Striker, who strikes opponents from a distance, Enforcer, who empowers their body, Forger, who makes physical objects out of the energy, and Ruler, who use outside energy in their attacks. In the Sacred Valley, since they separate it, they only use one of these techniques. But we find out at the end of the book that anybody can do any of these techniques. And that's the reason why they discriminate against Lyndon. And then he starts crying because, you know, he went through all this heartache for nothing. The only difference between him and everybody else is that he has slightly less madra than everybody else. So that means his madra doesn't lean in any which direction. It's something that can be overcome with training if anybody bothered to put in the effort into training him. So, yeah. So you're probably wondering, how come nobody figured this out? Well, my theory is that they did, but it's actively suppressed. The knowledge is suppressed by the elders. And the reason why they might do this is because they probably think by separating people into their best techniques, that they can eventually become stronger. Like, you know, they don't want to be a jack of all trades, so they just focus on one technique. But the policy failed, and everybody was weaker for it, and instead of admitting that they're wrong, they just keep trying. Or the elders can use all these techniques, and in order to keep everybody weaker than they are, they tell people this nonsense about how to get stronger, but it's actually false. So they stay on the top, and everybody else stays at the bottom because they don't have the knowledge to properly advance. So that's my theory about this. So that's it for my spoiler talk about Unsouled by Will Wight. I hope the audio comes out better in this one because I didn't separate it into several different parts, and I also didn't read from a script. So let's see how this works. Thank you for listening.